We'd like to call the meeting to order, and today is April 15, 2025. The time is 11:18. So we'll have a roll call.
Commissioner Juan here.
Commissioner Harvey present.
Commissioner Stubbs. We'd like to invite somebody to give an invocation. Is anybody that be willing to?
I can do it if you want.
Okay.
Our gracious Father in heaven, we are thankful for our ability to freely meet as a commission this day, and ask that thy spirit will be upon us as we make decisions that affect those around us and constituents and things that govern our county. We ask thy blessing upon those who reside within our county and ask that we can work together. We thank thee for the freedoms that we enjoy in this beautiful land that we live in, and continue to pray for thy guiding hand, and especially to watch us through difficult times and also through lack of moisture, that thou will be willing to offer thy kindness and graces to see the things that the people need here to survive and to make a living. We are grateful for the people who also serve this county and who work in their jobs and their responsibilities, that they will be blessed in their efforts. And we ask for those who have joined our meeting who will be traveling this day, that they will be able to return home safely, and all will be well with them. And these things we ask in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Would you stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll ask Lana to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just want to make a comment about the Pledge of Allegiance. My first day as a commissioner, I asked that we say the Pledge of Allegiance. Wasn't being said before for a while, so I was happy to have done that. And commissioners, any conflict of interest? Have you had a chance to look at the agenda and see?
Madam Chair, I have no conflict of interest.
I have none either.
Okay, and I had none either. So we'll turn the time to Matt for public comments.
Okay, for the public comments, you're allowed public comments for 3 minutes a piece on there. I just look, there's nobody that signed up.
Talia
wants to make a public comment.
Hi, thank you. So I wanted to make a public comment about actually what happened in work session. I think it's very important that the commission hears my concerns for this too. And one of the biggest ones is concern for fairness. We were all required in budget hearings as department heads that we presented our budgets to you. We were asked to trim our budgets. And I also wanted a position. Lots of people had positions that they had to cut in their departments that they had already had funded. And I'm not opposed to zoning and planning moving forward in time, but it's the process. It does not feel like it's one that if we are just not following the processes and the rules, how is that? What kind of a morale, like how is that supposed to work for the rest of us? Because under the same token, now you can hear every single one of us that want to come up and say, hey, we need this. And the truth is we don't have the budget for it. And I recognize that. The other issue that I have is that with the way that our budget is set up, I also could collect fees and create these positions out of my department. I don't want to do that, but it's not set up to do that. I don't have a problem if we go back and we look at the budget and decide to structure it differently. But when I came in, that's how I was taught that that these things would work, and it was the commissioners who decided, and I was respectful of that process. And I don't want it to go back on that. The other thing, too, is that professionally, I'm the one that's out in the community a lot. I work hard, and I try to have integrity in what I am doing. And it is very difficult And I do know we need these ordinances, and I am supportive of that process. And I'm watching everybody show up to the meetings and sacrifice and do those things. And now I'm getting fielded questions why Kristen was gone for 3 weeks while she's asking for people that she needs all of this support and this help. I'm willing to even figure out other solutions to help her because I know how important her work is to our community, but I don't know how to answer that. I don't know how to answer when the community is telling me, why does she have contracts outside in other cities doing the exact same work? And then now she's telling us that she has all this extra time. I don't know how to justify those things. And I don't, professionally, I didn't want to say anything, but I am concerned. And I'm exhausted because I am doing the same amount of work, and we would all love to be paid more. I would love for everything to be worked out that way, and I think it should be, and over time, and I appreciate the commissioners as they're looking at our concerns as department heads. I'm actually very pleased with how it's moved forward. But this concerns me deeply, not only as a citizen, but also just as in my work that I'm doing. And that I just feel like you should know that. I'm nervous to say that because I love to collaborate and work with the departments that I have, and I care very much about my county. Sorry. So, from where I stand, I don't think that you should approve that new position because I think we need to maintain order and process. And it's hard because I do have my wants too out of my thing, but I think we should look at the longer picture of those things. And that's all. Thank you for all you do. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, looks like we have Tammy as well for a public comment.
With all respect to all of you, I have an issue with it as well because I dealt with a citizen from one of the centers where I eliminated a position to get ourselves within budget. And I had to deal with their unhappiness over combining a position. And I've cut my budget. I've trimmed my budget to where we have no fat left. We're pinching every penny we've got. I'm hoping I still have budget left after federal government has done what they've done. And it's really hard for me to tell the people that we serve at the centers, I can't find a center director for you because I don't have the money, but I'm going to have this center director come out and take care of you. But then we're going to hire another position. So one, it's hard because the people of this community see we're not hiring here. And I was told that because of that, we're not treating that community fairly. But then, so I'm doing my due diligence. I'm cutting my budget. I'm saving money. But then we're adding more. All of us are wearing multiple hats. I think we can find a way to have somebody else wear a multiple hat. I have 2 major hats that I wear, and underneath of those 2 major hats, there's about 10 little hats under each one of those. And I think instead of creating a new position and spending that money, we should be good stewards and look at how can we add something to somebody else's duties instead of creating more and not building, but let's be good stewards and save money. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else in the audience wanting to make a public comment? Not seeing anybody else in the audience. Anyone online wishing to make a comment? Go ahead and unmute yourself if you do. Not seeing anybody unmute themselves. Commissioners, that is your public comment period for today.
Okay. So now it's time for consent agenda.
Okay. For today, under the consent agenda, you have item number 1, approval of the $3,484.36 in small purchases. You have $2,059.36 for a pedal throttle for the San Juan County Road Department, and $1,425 for registration of the 2026 Salt Lake City Sportsman Show for visitor services. Item number 2, you have the approval of the April 1st, 2025 Commission meeting minutes. You have the approval of the check registers for March 29th to April 11th, 2025. You have the approval from the Sheriff's Office for the BLM dispatch contract between BLM Utah Monticello Field Office in San Juan County. This is a recurring annual contract that we get from the BLM. That's why it's under consent. Then item number 5 is the approval of the appointment of Rob Adams to the San Juan County Historic Preservation Committee to a 4-year term. That, Commissioners, is your consent agenda items for today.
Okay, we have a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 5.
I will second that.
Also, we have a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So, so we have recognition presentation and information items.
Okay, this first one is the presentation of the Mid-America Pipeline Settlement Offer. Originally, we were going to have Thomas Peters from Peter Schofield present. I don't know if anybody is online to represent him. Okay, let me reach out to him as we continue to kind of roll forward and see if I can get him online to this meeting, or he may be en route to give that presentation. So we might have to come back to that item. It's really just the presentation of the settlement and kind of the overall process. It's super important that you guys hear what his presentation is and what he does as the attorney. He is really contracted through UAC, the Association of Counties, to provide attorney representation to counties and their positions in tax appeals for centrally assessed. Centrally assessed typically affects multiple counties throughout the state, so UAC has partnered with Thomas to provide that representation in those appeals for on behalf of the county and for on behalf of other counties that are going through appeals with the tax commission. And so his presentation is super important, but till we can get him on, let's go ahead and continue with the consideration and approval of the 2025 first quarter financial report. From Peter, we have Peter, the Chief Deputy Clerk Auditor, here to present his findings and update of where we stand to date. Do you want this, Mouse?
No, I'm not going to really move through that so much as just talk at a really high level.
Okay.
Um,
It's up to you. Let me go.
yeah, I'm going to do that.
I'm going to skip out and go see if I can get him on the phone.
So just speaking to our first quarter, we don't have the information is coming in the first quarter. It makes it tough to predict what's going to happen at the end of the year. We do have a little bit of insight, so I'm just going to kind of run through that. I just want to remind everybody that if you look at the property tax lines, you're going to see that there's really nothing in there. Property taxes don't really get coded until the end of the year. We also rely heavily upon the state for projections in that we get a little bit of an understanding about mid-year. So we'll be able to populate that and be able to give a projection by then. Sales tax and interest payments as well in our revenue have only been recorded in January. And so they're going to be small as well. We've got to talk with the Treasurer's Office to get them to catch up for our financial records moving forward. One other thing to point out is it's just kind of as an overall education point. When we're looking at our intergovernmental revenue, those are our grants. So grants come in we can spend it. When they don't come in, we can't spend it. Right now, we're still waiting for a lot of that revenue to roll in. A lot of it is also is also based upon an expenditure schedule, so we have to expense it first, and then we have to submit for the reimbursements on that. Well, one thing we have done in our financial records starting this year is we have split out our grant lines for both revenue and expenditures, so it will help you be able to track. You know, if you look at a revenue line that says grant ABC, you should be able to see an expenditure line that also says grant ABC to help you sort of follow along a little bit better. And we'll have schedules that will be sent to department heads so they can also use that for their reports and to track it as well. Because that's one area in the budget that can, you know, you get kind of sideways on if you're trying to figure out, you know, where we're at with grants. That can help you sort of see if we're down or if we're up, if it's a grant related issue. Issue 4, charges for services. We need to keep our eyes on a couple of things. I spoke with the recorder's office. They are down in their recording services, and they're saying they're just seeing a dip in that. Part of it's the economy. She thinks that perhaps, you know, in the summer they might have a little bit of a bump. If we have leases for mineral rights, that's going to also bring that up. But as you look at mid-year, you know, for second quarter, that might be something you want to revise down in your estimates. And so, yeah, just kind of keep an eye on that. So overall, if you were to look at all of our expenditures that we have so far, expenditures are on track or under budget. I didn't see anything alarming that would make me, you know, alert to your attention that we have to do something different in terms of our expenditures for the budget for quarter one, at least in the general fund. Moving on to the public health.
Peter, I have a question.
Okay, before we move on off general fund.
Yes.
Okay.
So on the expenditure on planning and zoning,
Mm-hmm.
so we have that current 168.7.
Mm-hmm.
I looked into that, and that is for a purchase, and I never. Would you look into that, because I never saw that purchase come through for like 168,000? I wonder if it's coded to the wrong.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, we've already fixed that. So
It's
it's moved. It's a landfill purchase. It shouldn't have been coded to the general fund. And so that's probably the biggest error that we found in there.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, we gave you the financials before we were able to fix a few of those things.
To get it to you.
But so we did fix that. So you should see it in landfill moving forward when we send those out for. I haven't sent out the reports yet for March end.
Okay.
But when I do that after payroll's done this week, you should see that corrected. It will be in the landfill. Actually, it will show up as an asset in the landfill financials. That's where you'll see it.
Okay. And then
So-
we'll just send those monthly financials on.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
And there was a few other like small, like non-material errors where we had some voided
Right.
invoices and some credits that we that were in January that should have been applied to November to 2024, and those have been fixed as well. So that'll clean it up just a little bit. If those were some of the questions that you saw, or you saw some weird negative numbers in there, that's what you're seeing. So moving on, one thing, I'm just kind of pointing out some of the material things that I've noticed. We're going to move to public health. Their expenditures are down quite a bit. Talking to Tyler Ketron down at the public health department, he has indicated to me that they are expecting some federal pass-through state clawbacks on public health. And so they're making some adjustments for that. So I just want to bring that to your attention, to sort of pay attention to that throughout the year, to see, you know, what programs might be cut because of the federal government's sort of budget trimming that's going on right now. And the only other sort of moving to if you go to the MBA fund, I think I skipped that one. Is that 24?
There it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, there was an error there as well. We had interest expense that was coded in the rollover expense line that got fixed. It's now up in the interest where it should be. So if you saw that, we got that fixed as well. I only have one other thing to I already talked about that, the grants. So yeah, I've already talked about that. So those are some of the highlights that I wanted to hit when looking at where we're at in budget versus what we planned on for budget to actual. And hopefully you kind of get an idea. It's hard to sort of really know where you're at in Q1, but we have a little bit of an understanding and we have some things that we want you to sort of pay attention to as the year progresses. So, any other questions or?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for what you do. We're gonna miss you.
Thank you.
We're gonna miss you, Peter.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, we will.
Okay, so I'm not on the right page, so I'm trying to see. Did you have him? Did you have him?
He is supposed to be jumping on right now. Maybe.
Good seeing you. Good to see you.
Thomas Peters, that's him. Let me try it this way. Sorry for the delay here. Go gadget. I literally just got off the phone with him and he's like, okay, I'll jump on. There he is. Hey, Thomas, can you hear me? You're on mute on your side of it.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Let me give you the ability to run things from your computer.
Okay.
There you go. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's nice to see everyone, although you're very small.
Yeah.
So I thought we should just touch base regarding the Mid-America pipeline litigation. Typically, these things would be handled in closed session, so I don't want to get into any specific details and I understand that, I'd send an email down to Mac, and so hopefully he has shared that with you and you have that information. And then maybe what we can do is if you have any specific questions, and also if, I can get some answers to some of my questions that I have in that email regarding a mediation and moving things forward to a resolution. We can handle those things in a closed session or a work meeting, or because it's pending litigation. But just by way of reference, this is the Mid-America pipeline matters that are pending at the Utah State Tax Commission and for 2018 through 2024. And there was a 2016-2017 district court case where the counties participated in that. And on one of the big issues, we prevailed. But two of these sub issues that Mid-America had presented to the judge agreed with Mid-America. And so with that decision, they ran what's called a motion for summary judgment at the tax commission, saying because the judge in the 2016-2017 tax court decided these two items in our favor, those two items should be applied to 2018 through 2024. The tax commission agreed with them on one of the issues and said that that's a matter of law decision, although we don't necessarily agree with the tax court's conclusion, meaning the property tax division didn't agree with it and the counties didn't agree with it. They said that issue was decided by the tax court and it should be applied to 2018 through 2024. The other issue, the tax commission said, no, we don't agree that it should be applied 2018 through 2024. There may be factual basis to apply that for 2018 through 2024, but that's something that will need to be handled or looked at on a case-by-case or year-by-year basis. And so to kind of obviate the need to go to trial on all those years or even do a test case year, we thought we would try and take this opportunity to try and resolve things. And so I've kind of set out a roadmap on what I'd like to kind of have some decisions from you folks on, and then also to answer any questions that you may have. And that's kind of where things are at, I guess.
We'd kind of foreseen as they settled the Mid-America pipeline for, what was it? The last settlement was 2015, 2016?
2016 and 2017 were
Okay.
resolved, yeah.
That this would kind of continue forward with adjustments throughout time. As they go back and review those items.
Yeah, there will be a substantial refund either way. And it's, we're trying to, obviously we try and get the best deal possible, but the parties have talked about maybe going to a mediation to try and get this resolved. My understanding is I believe approximately you folks have about 25% of the value and about 45 or 50% in Grand, and then 25% or 20% up in Uinta County, and so and then 1 or 2% or 1% 1.5-2% collectively is in Summit and Daggett.
Now to kind of fill the commissioners in addition with this is, and you'll hear this in several of the discussions with at UAC across the board with other counties when these appeals come up. So if Thomas right now, if he's working on your 2016-2017 settlement, they've already paid the taxes, so we've already charged them that property value. And here you have this appeal, it's 2025 now, and we're sending out tax notices to these entities and they pay, but then the appeals take so long, and it's not Thomas's fault. It's literally as the tax commission gets these and they go through, their findings of valuation, and then it goes into the court proceedings. These can take years, but in the meantime, what the outcome of the settlement really results in the county may have to cough back some of those, and it's not just the county; it's the school district, it's all of the taxing entities that are faced with this burden. As it seems like we continue to have to pay these back tax overpayments, is what I would call them, to the county in arrears of something that continues to be negotiated for 2016 and 2017 and not 2025. And so Thomas has done a good job with him and his organization in presenting. I had attended some of their hearings, and if you ever want to listen to people debate about valuation and property taxes in general, it's a pretty interesting watch to listen to them argue the basis and the valuations on that. But so from here, do you guys have any questions?
Commissioner Mond has the floor.
So I'm just looking at your recommendations. Would that be in the order, or like we'd start with 1, then we go to 2 if that doesn't work, or what? Or we get to choose. I mean, I kind of assume that was your order to go in, or
Yeah,
I think more negotiations first.
Yeah, it looks like given like with timing and things, and trying to get answers back, and your range may be different than Grand's or UNA's. It may be more realistic to focus on number 3, and which kind of encompasses, I guess, 1 and 2, as far as getting a range of authority to try and get the best deal possible between those potential numbers, what was presented by Mid-America, and then what is being proposed by our experts and things of that nature.
So on our end, when it comes to like mediation, would it be just for us, or kind of all the other counties in line, we all come together with the mediation? Or are we going to settle by county by county? How's that going to work?
No, we would want to do a global resolution of all counties, and you wouldn't have to be present for that. You would how we've done these in the past is you would designate first. I would hopefully get some sort of range of authority to resolve the case matter, and then if things were getting close to, like, say, our ceiling of where we would want to resolve things, at that point I'd probably reach out to a designated individual and say it's Mac or the commission chair, and say, hey, this is where we're at, this is what they've come up with, I think there's a little bit more space here, or based on the circumstances and the risks and this, maybe we should hit the spot that we don't want to be at, or something like that. But when we get closer to the uncomfortable ranges is when I'd want to be able to reach out to somebody and just get some feedback.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And then if you'd like to, I don't know when you meet again, but we could maybe just, if you want to set aside 5-10 minutes, we can really dive into some actual details. We just can't right now because it's deals with taxpayer confidential commercial information, as well as our litigation and settlement posture.
Okay.
Yeah, we can schedule something where we can do that in future meetings.
And I know that Thomas has given a pretty good overview of what he does holistically for behalf of UAC. We could tie that in to the conversation as well for the future. And so they've kind of given in the past, he's given a history of kind of the appeals and settlements that that he's worked through for the county. And so that would be good to take a look at as well.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. And do you want to just let me know, Mac, when that next
Yes.
meeting could be, and then we could get it on the closed session item?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
We can get you in
Okay.
there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate
Thank
your
you
time.
so much. And
Sounds good. Have a good day.
you
Okay,
too.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Okay, so go back.
Okay,
So,
let's get back
now we're
to
down
the
to
agenda.
business action.
Okay, under business action, this first one is consideration and approval of a support letter for Emory Telecom's grant application to the state of Utah broadband equity and access deployment. We have Jared Anderson here, COO of Emory Telecom. Jared, sure appreciate you coming down here and presenting. And part of the conversation I had with Jared on the phone was just to kind of give a back history of the projects that he has. Jared has been instrumental to work with us here in San Juan County before COVID hit. Emory Telecom had applied for federal funds for broadband for San Juan County, and we were super supportive of that effort. And they were awarded the funds, and that provided a line from Grand County coming through the entire county, basically, all the way south, through Mexican Hat, down through Oljedo, Monument Valley, and then wrapping back around Navajo Mountain. And that was all. I don't know if Jared and his team knew that COVID was going to hit, broadband was going to be so critical, but we had those funds. They were awarded prior to COVID, and his team and Emory Telecom staff had commenced to work here in the county to get that to come to fruition. Then COVID hit, and then the federal funding kind of opened for more broadband. Jared and his team have been super instrumental of continuing to ask for funding on behalf of San Juan County as we continue to branch out our broadband efforts throughout the whole county. And other than that, that kind of gives you a background and a history of where Emory Telecom has been here for San Juan County. And turn it over to you.
Oh, I appreciate it, Mac, and always happy to come down and give updates as needed. And so, good afternoon, commissioners. As Mac said, Jared Anderson with Emory Telecom. I'm COO. And for those that don't know, we're based out of Orangeville, Utah, small town up in Emory County, and that's where we'll always be. We've expanded greatly, and the beauty of those expansions go up into Salt Lake City, out into Grand Junction and other areas of Colorado. All of our staff operates out of Carbon Emory Grand and San Juan. I was telling Mac earlier that, and I was telling Commissioner Stubbs earlier that it's tough to find employees in Moab, and so a lot of our employees reside in Blanding and Monticello specifically, and we pay them to commute up and help us up there and continue to build out these areas as well. And so happy to do it in whatever order you'd prefer. Maybe where we're at and then what we're going after would tell the story best. And then the end goal is, to get a letter of support for a new grant program that is hitting us right now that I think will help with some of the final outlying areas in San Juan County. Do you mind if I share screen?
Do you want? I don't know how I can
Zoom?
connect you.
I'm connected.
Okay.
So
Perfect. Yes.
If you-
Let me jump in there, and I will.
allow sharing. I sent some maps, but I think it would be easier to go through my main map, and you'll probably need to stare at the TV screen, but I think this will best tell the
Okay. I like
story.
yours better than what we had.
Okay, so let me hide some things. Okay, so on the you all have it up in front of you.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yep, and it should
everybody's
be-
going to
you
have
should
to
be
turn around.
seeing it.
Perfect. So, if what these dots represent are unserved locations according to the federal fabric map, and the goal with the BEAD program is to serve all unserved areas or to serve underserved areas. Unserved is they do not have broadband access. Underserved is they don't meet the 100 meg down by 20 meg up criteria. And so the goal is to try and take care of all those locations. San Juan County has a lot of those locations. A lot of them are on the Navajo Nation, and addressing that separately, the Navajo Nation has informed me that they plan on applying for BEAD funds directly. And so they're going after the funding to take care of the Navajo Nation. And so my application does not include Navajo Nation locations. They've asked to do it directly. And there's an additional fund besides the BEAD fund to address locations on the Navajo Nation. As you know, it's really expensive to deploy out in that area, especially where there's not even existing power infrastructure in some spots. And so there's a lot of complexities associated with that. So we are trying to address San Juan County, and the map that you're looking at shows clear up into Spanish Valley. I think it'll be easier if I zoom and show you what we've done. The green represents fiber deployments that we've already done. This is built, and I guess if I zoom way out, you can see Carbon County, Emery County. You can see network up in the Salt Lake Valley out towards Grand Junction, all the way down to St. George. And so that's the greater network. But going back into specifically Spanish Valley, you can see that the south end of Spanish Valley, that's nothing important.
No, this noon.
I'm like, do we need to run?
3 times a day.
Gotcha. So right now, if I turn on this, you'll see the pink is the cable internet network. And that's what we're trying to overbuild and get rid of and eliminate. The reason being is that's an older coax cable platform that provides decent speeds, but it doesn't compare to fiber internet that takes us down the road the next 20 or 30 year foreseeable future. And so we've got a little bit left to build down in southern Spanish Valley, which is a lot of the San Juan County areas. So if I turn this back off and I turn on our 2025 capital budget, we have a substantial dollar amount associated with finishing this year San Juan County as best as possible. And so if I turn this on, these are the areas that will be built, the shaded area, in 2025. So a lot of this already has cable internet, like I previously showed. That'll all be overbuilt with fiber internet this year. We're well into that budget, and we'll be able to shut down that network and completely eliminate the cable internet network. If I turn that back off just for ease of viewing and show you 2026, there's some areas. This is Pack Creek, which I believe is technically in San Juan as well. Yep. Some of those areas will be built. And then if I zoom out bigger, you'll see some of these areas like Ucolo, and I'll go into that in a tiny bit more detail for 2026. But we have a comprehensive plan to finish everything in San Juan. We've committed to the state that we would do it, and we're well along a 5-year plan to do so. If I turn that back off, the San Juan County Commission wrote a letter of recommendation for a USDA Reconnect 5 grant about a year ago. We were successful in that and were awarded that grant this year. And so everything's currently with the attorneys, getting all the documents signed. It's a 5-year project. And what that will do is cover, USDA grants, Reconnect 5. So there are some key locations. The green, again, is still just existing fiber that's already there. These blue and red lines represent what we were awarded in Reconnect 5. And keep in mind, when we get these awards, we have skin in the game too. They're generally a 25% match from us, and then we get 75% of the funds reimbursed. Reason being, these are high cost areas that would never pencil otherwise. And so And so even at 25%, a lot of them are a stretch. We kind of rely on the average of the group of everything that we apply on, averaging out at a threshold that we can tolerate at our 25%, and it helps push broadband out further. So there's some key things that are hard to explain or hard to really see where we're going with everything. But this UCOLA one's important for a lot of reasons. With what I'm asking in the letter of support today, I'm asking for a grant application that would hit UCOLA from this other side. This is already funded under USDA. And so what that does is it puts Monticello and LaSalle on a small ring, on a fiber ring. Meaning if fiber gets cut out on 191, traffic just routes around the other way. And so it adds more much needed redundancy to the area. Blanding, I have a plan for to put it on a ring, and that's something that we're working on with the Ute tribe out of Cortez, coming clear around Cortez, down through Aneth, down through Montezuma Creek where our fiber stops right now, and doing a swap with them to make a big ring and get back up, so that we've got everybody on rings. The other thing that USDA Reconnect 5 grant did, it added some connectivity out in LaSalle, but it completes this blue line out of Castle Valley back up to Cisco and I-70, putting Moab and Spanish Valley on a big ring too. Because as of today, if 191 gets cut right where my hand is, everything south of there is dead until we repair that. And so by creating these little rings, it just adds future network redundancy so that when we've got problems, we don't have giant outages associated with them. So I guess I really appreciate your support and everything you've done so far. Letters of recommendation. We've been successful in going after these. I think they're good for the area. You can see if I zoom into Monticello, this is the fiber network that we've built. This exists today. And if I turn back on the cable plant, this is what will all be wrecked out. If I go down to Blanding and do the same, this is the fiber plant that's been built over the past few years. This is the cable plant that will be wrecked out. So not only did we just overbuild the cable plant, we've expanded the footprint to reach areas that previously would have just been our competing carrier areas. I can probably talk about maps forever and bore you to death, but this is LaSalle, and old LaSalle, they've got fiber. That's kind of where we're at today. And so things are going really well for the company. I had a staff meeting last week, and I had probably 18 employees in my conference room in Moab, and I can't fit them all anymore. Most of them are Blanding Monticello guys and gals.
Well, I was telling you early that we just got service, and we had about 4 trucks pulled in because we have a dinosaur that they needed to take care. So they didn't even know I was a commissioner, so they treat us like royalty. So, and it's so glad that you hire people from our county because we do need.
Oh, I appreciate hearing
need
it.
them
I'm
to
glad
have
to
good
hear
jobs.
it. And yeah, they're all vested. They live here too. And if the service doesn't work good, they're going to hear about it from their neighbors. So when they
Very
go home
quick.
at night. So anyways, this shows, again, the green dots are what we're trying to achieve. They're not all guarantees. We are proposing a variety of different ways to hit them. Fiber, where it's financially responsible. Wireless internet that can still provide the 100 meg down, 20 meg up threshold that's required. And I mean, some of these locations are literally $70,000 per, which you can't financially justify. And even off of a grant program, is it really responsible to spend the money in that way? And so you've got to do wireless in some of the locations. But we really are down to the nitty gritty, or will be by the end of this year with our existing capital budget. And so San Juan County's looking to be in pretty good shape, with a few outliers that they're not served because they're difficult to hit. And hopefully with this program, we can kind of finish it up.
Is it hard going through the rocks, especially when you were going down south?
It is. It gets expensive. You can go aerial, but people don't really want to see more pole lines, and so you can rock saw, you can chip away at it and bury conduit and put the fiber inside of it. And yeah, it just gets expensive, and that's why what's remaining is still there. So, yeah. I think we'll be successful in a lot of this. We've tried to be very conservative in what we're going after. And the third option that we have is, if it's just not financially responsible for us to ask for money for something that's so far out there, then we recommend satellite service and say, you know what, this is an anomaly. We recommend they get Starlink or something like that. It doesn't make sense to use these funds that way. So that's kind of the process.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm happy to answer any questions, related or unrelated. But basically, yeah, just looking for a letter of support from the commission.
Commissioner Harvey, do you have a question?
Yeah, a couple of questions, Madam Chair. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you, Jared, for thinking of us in San Juan County and for all the work that has been done. Mac and I returned back from a Rural Leaders Economic Mobility meeting through the National Association of Counties. And a lot of the rural counties that we met with, one county, I believe, was in Missouri or east of Texas. I forget the state. Mississippi. They are struggling with access to broadband, and I think that was part of their priorities. I'm going off subject, but anyhow, 2 points I wanted to kind of just highlight. Do you have the controls?
Say it again. Yeah.
Can you scroll down to Blanding and maybe scroll down to Center Street level in Blanding? And then it's right by the college, right across the college.
I'm not quite sure where I'm at.
Okay, just keep
Am I
going.
over here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
keep going west. Okay, and then go a little bit more.
Are you talking Westwater?
Yes.
So I can tell you all about Westwater.
Very cool.
Good.
I have the budget. I have the money. I've been trying to get a permit for years.
So you
I've
had
been
to
working
go-
with the Navajo Nation. I believe we are making progress. You can see our fiber stops literally just right across the ravine. I can build that out in a couple of months. It's funded through, I'm trying to remember what program. It was a matching, I can't remember if it was a matching program. I believe it was the RDOF program years ago, the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund. I have an obligation to serve Westwater. I want to do it tomorrow. I need a permit.
Do you want to send me an email and then I'll get in
love
touch? I do work with the community at Westwater. We just finished getting the water in. We did the electricity, now the water. And I think if you do that, drop me an email and then I'll contact. There are good people to work with, but sometimes they're, not the community be willing. Sometimes we have to go level, higher, and so.
Yep. So we've been working. Ryan Barton's been really instrumental in helping us.
Ryan is key.
He's really gotten
Yeah.
some of the people engaged that I
Yeah.
think will help kick that loose
Yeah.
eventually.
Okay.
I will send you exactly where we're at and where
Okay.
we're stuck. We've been with the General Lands Department, with the Navajo Nation for
Okay.
quite a while trying to get this done because, like I said, we have an obligation to do it. We agreed to do it,
Yeah.
and we have all the materials. We're ready to go.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I'll check and get back with you. I'll talk to Ryan.
Another one that I'll mention since you brought this one up is Halchita. I have funding for Halchita. I'm sitting right at their doorstep and I'm having just permitting issues that I'm ready to do it. It'll take a couple of months to do. We go right past them right now, down through Mexican Hat and to Monument Valley. So that's another one I'll get you all the
Yeah.
info on.
So next time I know Objeto chapter meeting, Hachita is part of Objeto. I can kind of visit with the chapter.
Madam Chair, if I could, the other thought that I had was you need to meet Council Delegate Herman Daniels, who will be valuable for you for Halchita, and you also need to meet Council Delegate. I forget his name right now. My mind just went blank. Curtis Unito.
Yeah.
And the commission you should come to, and you can hop on my back, is the Navajo Utah Commission meeting, because Herman Daniels either serves on the Navajo Nation Land Department. I know that their SAS process is very complicated sometimes, because the right-of-way approvals, they're stagnant, and then they have to go to the Navajo Nation president for signature, and then the permit's issued. I know that, I guess I can put it this way. If Delegate Daniels and Delegate Yanito could understand that there are funds available now that can get the job done, like tomorrow, they would be the people to get the things needed in place. I think for me, and I'm only going to speak for what Utah Navajo means. Utah Navajo, in my definition, is all the enrolled members that live within the boundaries of San Juan County, within the Navajo Nation boundaries, and then in Utah. When Navajo Nation assumes federal funds, they forget they forget us. And when they get these federal dollars, they spend them on the populated communities, and we're always ending up with nothing left. And so I think that if we can connect you with Delegate Daniels and Delegate Yanito, they need to understand that we have direct access here. Because I know I worry about Montezuma Creek. The school's just down the hill, and the houses are there. Same, I know Aneth is looking forward to that broadband. There's schools along there. But sorry, I'm taking too much time, Commissioner. Navajo Utah Commission, if you're willing to, I'd like to invite you to come with me so we can be before the elected officials to just share that. We have funds for Westwater, we have funds for Halchita, and we backed off on development funds because Navajo Nation wants to do it. But I think there's a way to compromise. I'm all about compromises today, and it got me in trouble.
And Herman Daniels, he's well aware of these two projects. We've been in constant communication. He's been on in so many meetings and so many email threads of we're trying to push this through. Halchita's in jeopardy. I've already asked for extensions twice on that project, and I've asked for a third extension. It's technically expired right now. And I'm waiting for USDA to say, yeah, we're going to let you go one more. And so we really are pushing and trying. This is Montezuma Creek that you brought up. We've got our fiber right into the medical facility and the schools. I believe we also served the food bank. NTUA has a grant from the state to serve these residents, and I don't know the status of it. And so it's an unfundable area because they've already got a grant for it. If I got a grant, I'd do it in. Like I said, this is a tiny project. I'd crank that out quick.
I just want to make a comment about Delegate Cristianito, he has a big interest in Halchita. He wants to develop, and it has a possibility. And I think he will be, like he said, contact him, and he will be in favor because he does want to create it's a community that has you been in Halchita? You've probably been in Halchita. So it has lots of possibility for business, for different things that he wants to accomplish there. So I think he'll be very interested in knowing this.
I went and got chapter resolutions from all the chapter houses, and so I met all the people and spent a lot of time presenting and going through the plans. And all the people, they all want it. It's just getting through the lands department.
Yeah.
So
That's the hardest part. So Jared, there within the state of Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico, we've kind of formed this coalition of broadband efforts where we keep everybody updated and apprised of the current situation. And it was kind of started by Lena Flowers, who is a Coconino County commissioner. You'll meet her if you haven't. When you go to Western Region Conference, she will be there. She's been super instrumental for the Navajo Nation and represents the Navajo Nation well. But she started this committee a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. We were stuck at Mexican Hat. Emory Telecom was able to get the fiber up to Mexican Hat, but we couldn't get approval from the Navajo Nation to jump the river through the bridge to continue down to Monument Valley. The state of Utah, UDOT, was instrumental, and it was the same scenario. So we were in jeopardy of losing the funds that was given and allocated to Emory Telecom because they expire after a certain time. Yet we were stuck on the lands department. And fortunately, we were able to work with UDOT to get the right-of-way on the Utah side through UDOT. But now you get stuck in this. In the last meeting, and I think I sent you an email to it, where the Navajo Nation, even in itself, they are stuck within their own lands department. So they, as Sonia Nez, who is the director of broadband for the Navajo Nation, as she tries to take care of the 110 chapters throughout the Navajo Nation, and same with NTUA, they are stuck at the land department. And so the last meeting that was held, I think a month ago maybe now, is this was brought up, and Curtis, Council Delegate Unito, was in that meeting, and people were on him and was like, hey, lands department, you need to work with them to get that. And so some of the comments that Councilmember Delegate Unito had mentioned was he was going to try to work their system to try to speed up that process, because the money is here now, the federal funds here are now, but yet they're stuck in this bureaucratic process and trying to find a way through the Navajo Nation to get past that red tape, whether it's a resource development committee. You had several members there that were also screaming that this lands department just isn't getting it done fast enough. And so we continue to champion that in that meeting. The state of Utah has been there to every meeting. They continue to present where we're at as far as the state. And then we're kind of, I don't know, sometimes I feel like I'm the spy in the room, making sure. We've also reached out to Sonia there on the Navajo Nation, just asked. She's really, so far she's been a 1 to 2 person crew for the whole entire Navajo Nation to implement broadband, and she's struggled, and we've offered our assistance to kind of be that arm for her as she goes out and gets funding for these type of projects. But I do appreciate Emory being there at the table in those meetings and trying to help champion the cause, because literally they've been stuck. Westwater is ready, and the Halchito is ready, and it used to be Navajo Mountain is ready. We just need to get the approvals from the Navajo Nation to get it done. And I know, and probably on their side, the Navajo Nation, it'd be similar as capacity. If you don't have the capacity to approve these right-of-ways, like Commissioner Harvey mentioned, if it has to go to the president for every signature, well, at some point in time, the president has to slow down and get into his office to make signatures, and so makes it a little bit difficult. But we continue to press forward to try to get broadband, and you'll hear discussions, that last mile you know, we are super focused here in the county to try to get the last mile done, and we're certainly grateful for Emory to be that backbone, even though it's hard to get to that last mile to get it into the communities. But the fact that we have it here, I think we're far better than, kind of like Commissioner Harvey mentioned, that team in Missouri or Mississippi, they don't even have the backbone yet. Yet we have the backbones that are coming in. And so,
Well, and I know I've taken plenty of time, but we're also in the midst of a new upgrade that takes it from 1 gig down, 1 gig up fiber to an 8 gig down, 8 gig up product. Nobody can actually use that unless you're, I don't know what you would have to be doing in your home to do that, but there's constant advancement in the fiber front. So yeah, we're in good shape.
Especially with artificial intelligence coming in, we probably need more power for things. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, good. Yeah, I'm happy to take any help I can get. Mac has my contact information. I would.
I just want to make a comment. The president of the Navajo Nation is going to be with celebration with Westwater. Maybe I can stick a letter in his hand. I don't know.
totally hit him up way up. Anything that would help.
Well, he used to come to I work at the college, and he used to be a young man coming summer programs.
Okay.
Just just a little kid, and now he's the president. So.
Good.
Well, any more comments or questions?
The only thing I was going to say, Jared, is sometimes you have to say things in the Navajo language for even the elected leaders to comprehend. So I'm happy to translate that.
I appreciate that. We
Matt.
hired a Navajo consultant to help us with that, and he's been helpful. Yeah.
Bring him when we schedule that, because
Fair.
everyone has been confused about how to say fiber in Navajo. The only thing that I could think of is the glass wires that power up the computers, and that's literally what we're calling it right now.
It's a glass water. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want,
I was gonna make a motion.
So I guess we thank you for coming, and we appreciate all you do, and thank you so much.
Thanks. Anytime you want an update, I'm happy to come talk about it. And yeah, I just appreciate you guys. You've all been super supportive in the past, and it's got us far.
Commissioner,
Thank you so much.
If one final question that I was just wondering, in the grant funding, what are you doing as far as the education piece of it? So now that you have it here, there is an opportunity for those funds to also apply for the education piece, is teaching people how to utilize the internet and how to use it, whether it's telehealth or whatever the case is. Are there programs that you have with that, or is that something that the county needs to fill a gap?
So I'm not aware. I'm trying to think of any internal programs associated with that. I know that a lot of our funding to some of these areas is through UETN, the Utah
Okay.
Education and Telehealth Network, through the E-rate program, and that's allowed us to get connectivity to all the schools and the colleges, the library, everything like that. I know they've got programs associated with
Okay.
that, but internally I'm not aware of like a education or use
Okay.
program that we've ever implemented.
Okay, thanks for answering. I was wondering if there was anything there.
Motion to approve the support letter.
Second.
So all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you so
We
much.
appreciate your time.
Sure appreciate your presentation.
Yep, we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, item number 9. No?
So, item number 9, your consideration and approval of the 2025 interlocal cooperation agreement between Salt Lake County Aging and Salt Lake County Board of Aging Adult Services. Tammy.
I was going to say good morning, but it's a little bit later than that. This is an interlocal agreement between our agency on aging and Salt Lake County's agency on aging. They've developed a program called the Caregiver Talking Points, and the case managers have been trained in it. We just have to sign their interlocal agreement so we can use that program here with our clients that they go out and meet. There's no fiscal note attached to it.
Okay, so you guys have any questions?
No, motion
So-
to approve. I know it's valuable.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You're
for
welcome.
what you do. Really.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 10 is consideration and approval of the 2025 Rural County Grant Programs, selected awardees, and memorandum of
We get into the fun part finally.
authorized.
This is
Talia.
Yeah, this is the fun part actually, because I'm really thrilled that we had, and I mistyped, so I apologize. We had 38 applicants, and it was a really tight window of time, so I was really thrilled that we had so many. We also were able to do 4 workshops to help them kind of learn the grant writing process. And I'm really happy to report that we had a wonderful time in that we were able to get the process down fairly quick, and we were able to get through all those applications. We did it by a tier system. So we had 12 applicants for tier 1 and 16 for tier 2. And my bifocals aren't working right now. And tier 3, we had 10 applicants that we went through. And I really want to thank my SED board, so the Economic Development Board, because it's not easy going through there. And I know they really would have awarded everybody if they could. We had $140,000, and I threw in 10 so that we could do an even number on one of our awards. And we had about a $1,800,000 ask for this year, which is actually an increase from last year.
About double, huh?
Yeah, it was a lot. So today I'm asking for your approval of the MOU for each of the ones that have won. They're going to be presented at our base camp on April 28th. I'm super excited to do that. I think that they've done a good job and they put a lot of effort into it. We did have a few lessons learned where we do have a lot of asks in manufacturing and parking lots. So we're thinking of seeing if we can find funds that might fund those kind of specific projects. But yeah, I don't know if you want me to tell you the winners, because I kind of want to keep it a secret, which is hard. But
Yeah, you can keep it a secret. Since I already know, so. You guys have any question for?
No question. Motion to approve.
I just want to make a comment. I appreciate all you do. You do go the extra mile. I know you have a good vision for San Juan County, and I
thank you.
feel so privileged to work with you. And I want to thank you for the support I got yesterday as I present a grant that I put together. I don't know what the result's going to be.
Yeah, I hope we get
But
it.
it was very stressful for me because I've been getting little sleep either. And so thank you so much. And you added so much to that. And so hopefully, even if we get a little bit, that will be able to help others.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you so much. And to yourself, you don't have a staff to
No,
help you yet. So anyway, thank you so much.
thank you.
I second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, this next one is consideration and approval of a resolution in support of the fiscal year 2025 USDA Rural Business Development Grant application for the Regional Agricultural Incubator and Technology Innovation Initiative. Talia, this is you as well.
I know, I feel like I come with you all the time. So we actually come earlier to get a letter of support for this grant, and they came back from the state of Utah and had asked and requested that I have a resolution officially for it. This is addressing really the food security issues, so it kind of falls into the community development of what I do. It's utilizing the business hubs that we've created, and then it will help us be able to get more agricultural production. This is something that Ute Tribe and Navajo Nation are very interested in, and we're working with a lot of our nonprofits in this process. So I just need the resolution now that you've given the letter of support also.
So we have a motion.
Motion to approve, and then I'll comment after the second.
I'll second.
The only comment I wanted to make was thank you for looking at White Mesa. That's really cool, and being receptive to the needs of the Native American community. I see you out there, and that's
Thank you.
huge. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I really it's really exciting for me because as I'm working to collaborate, and I really am trying to bring collaboration across our county, it's amazing how many good ideas we have, but also how similar in projects that we can connect with our funding. So I'm hopeful that we can continue to do that. And I actually just had a meeting with Delegate Yanito on Saturday, exactly talking about Helchita and his project. So I meet with him actually regularly now, and I'm meeting with Ute Tribes Economic Development regularly. And so it's been really nice because they have really been receptive and open to allowing me to hear their plans, their CLEPSIs, and I'm going through all of those, and they've kind of guided me through the process because it's all new for me too. And it can be very complicated.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And I think, again, something Mac and I learned from the Rural Leaders Economic Mobility Program, it was the group who hosted us out in, what was that community, Mac?
Hartford County, South Carolina.
Yes. The economic development person for the county talked about a meeting that they hold every month. In fact, I should share the link with you. It's going to be Friday morning. Their time is 2 hours ahead, so you'll be watching this at 6 a.m. But they bring everyone in the county to one meeting. Right, Mac? Everyone in the county.
Yeah, it was this morning at 6:30.
Did I miss it?
They call it so, and we'll talk to you more about this, but she calls it the county connection.
County connection.
And she literally kind of has everybody at the table, whether it's the nonprofit organization, and you do this if you think about the things that you do. You do it not necessarily in a collective meeting.
Yeah.
You're out already within the community, but she brings them all to the table. The banks,
Wow.
Chamber of Commerce,
Okay.
and they, state legislators and governor's office, and they have this. It's once a month. They get together and collaborate on what to do for economic development, and they're all. The meeting is really solution-oriented meeting. It's like, don't bring us your problems, really bring us the solutions to help us find innovation, better ways of doing things. And it's really this huge collaborative effort where everybody is sitting there that needs to be there, and the discussions are being had of how they can move the dial and get more economic mobility within their communities. And so they've provided, kind of like we have in our study, so we've provided the data, but she's taken it the step further on a more collaborative effort. She's got the universities there,
Wow.
the high schools, everything. And so it's a pretty cool process, but we'll get more into it because I think it would be super helpful here, especially when you take a look at some of the things that we've been doing on the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council has been exactly like that, where you've been in touch with the Navajo Nation and you're working with their economic development. You're working with Council Delegate Yanito. And so you have these connections, and now it's bringing everybody together. She feeds them breakfast, similar to we've talked about before. Is you got to feed them to get them there. And so it's bringing together things that you're already doing, but in a collective group. And so
I love that. That's awesome.
Some days you get to go to those meetings.
Yeah,
I had a opportunity to go.
We tried to get her on this one, but it was like too late. So
6:30 is early.
Yeah, the thing is, when you go to those meetings and you see other counties, and everybody has different needs. I participated with one. We went to Washington, D.C. It's almost like you make friends forever, because you have, everybody has the same needs, and so it's just really nice. So I hope you next time they go to the NICO one, you can.
Yeah.
It's the connection. It's the connection that you can find.
No, that's great.
Make a
Thank you.
difference. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Any more questions or anything? So
Very good.
Awesome. Thanks for your time.
So we need to make a motion for this one.
We made the motion.
We didn't make the motion.
We just need a vote.
We just need a vote.
All the favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So now into 12.
Right. Let's see. This one here is kind of odd. We've got to wait until 12:50. It didn't make the packet or the Utah Public Notice website until 12:50.
Okay.
So in order to keep within the sunset law, 12:50 is the time. So I don't know if we want to turn some attention over to Larry. Larry, can you make up some minutes?
Come and talk to us. What's going? We just want to
Or
know.
You could go commission reports after Larry, fill up that time, and then
That you can tell us how much money is in Washington D.C.
None.
Nothing, huh?
We don't have any budget in Washington, D.C.
we're just glad you got an email finally.
What's that?
We're just glad you finally got an email account.
Yeah, it took us quite a while to get phone numbers and emails and to get up and running again. As you know, the senator is very much interested in San Juan County, and so even though his schedule is pretty well keeping him sequestered in DC.
yeah.
Excuse me, DC. I gotta get the right direction.
I thought,
He actually this week is in Greece. He serves on the Foreign Relations Committee for the Senate,
How cool.
and so he's over there relating.
That would be fun to relate over there.
But he's I'm amazed at how much. I have a technical term called stuff when I can't describe it otherwise that he gets through, and the amount of legislation that he's participating in. Let me just touch on a few of them, and I won't go into detail, but just to give it. A lot of these are either sponsored or co-sponsored pieces of legislation that he gets involved in the committees that he's serving on. But there's one that deals with sanctions against Russia if they do not negotiate in good faith with Ukraine to try and bring peace. And if they don't do that, or they take military action against Ukraine, then this piece of legislation would put a 500% tariff on countries that we would be buying stuff from who buy oil, gas, uranium, or any of those things from Russia. So it's a penalty on country, basically saying Russia's not playing fair. If you're going to do business with them, it's going to be more difficult for you to do business with us. That's a pretty stiff tariff. He also is supporting legislation which would continue to recognize Taiwan in international standing.
that's good.
You know, they've been kind of in no man's land for some time, and trying to bring it. And of course, China continues to threaten, and heaven only knows what all is involved in that in terms of what actions they're taking to overtake Taiwan.
China has a lot to lose if they lose Taiwan, because that's where all the technology, all the.
Yeah. Taiwan is a key partner with us in many of the things that we need to do, particularly in the Asian area. So, piece of legislation that would improve tribal access to energy resources and make it easier for them to access the programs of the federal government. I won't go into a lot of the detail because I don't know them, but that's the general emphasis that they're trying to do, is to make it easier for that access. So that should be something that would be good. And then this one is one which we hear a lot about, and one which sounds really good to me. And that is, it's called the increasing transparency in regard to NEPA.
Elections. Oh, really?
And it requires an annual report outlining the impact that NEPA is having on projects. And the idea there is to say, what's it really doing? I think it came about in '69, if I'm remembering the date, and originally was intended to be more of a protection, or to make sure that all things were considered. It has morphed into a means by which, and I'm going to say environmental entities primarily, can stop projects from happening.
Well, working with the 7 counties, I had learned a lot about them and how they
And
just.
that's one of the main things that takes so long to get permitting, which is another emphasis that the senator has, is in streamlining the permitting process.
Yeah.
Many of you may know the name Ben Burr with, oh, come on, Larry. First thing to go is memory, and I can't remember the second one. With the, who's Ben Burr with?
Yeah. I'm drawing a blank.
Blue Ribbon Coalition.
Okay.
I've got an excellent memory. It's the recall that gets me at times. But anyway, I was speaking with him last night, and he is of the belief, and he does a lot of work, a lot of good work in regard to attempting to mitigate the efforts of SUA and the entities that would strive to close public lands. And he mentioned something last night as I was speaking with him, that most of the projects for environmental review should be able to be done in about 30 days.
Oh, wow.
Instead of
I have one that's 5 years.
30 months plus.
Well, in all the money that you spend while you're waiting for the project, I mean, in some
Which I think will be a good thing if this Transparency Act can get passed, which requires so that people know what's it really costing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, SUA is very well funded by a lot of very wealthy people, by a few very wealthy and many other somewhat wealthy people.
I think this year the legislature, I can see the influence of their money, but some of the bills were coming through, you know. That's the first time I kind of can see the difference about things, and we are very affected by them in our county a lot.
Yes,
by their,
yes, you are.
You may remember some of Ben's presentations if you've attended the Yellow Cake Caucus in the past.
Oh, yeah.
Ben would present during those with his efforts checking the Federal Register and what was in those, and
that's
how you
one
had to pay
thing
attention.
that we missed this year at the Capitol, not to have the caucus. But I know Logan Manson tried to keep it going, but he wasn't allowed to do it, so it's kind of a sad because we got lots of information from there. I mean, we have lots of organizations that presented things, lots of energy. I mean, future things like those small nuclear little boxes that you can put in your backyard and use for 30 years. You know, I mean, all those presentations that we don't have that to be able to.
Well, and in that regard, you're probably aware that the senator, then representative, started the Conservative Climate Caucus, and is interested in continuing that in some fashion
That'd be
in the
good.
Senate. But part of his belief is that coal and fossil fuels are part of the answer and not the enemy to the overall energy future. And you know that it's going to take the all hands on deck approach in terms of supply of energy to meet the need that's coming down the path as we talk about these massive data centers for AI and whatever that's going to entail. It scares me to death, by the way, let me tell you that. Just when I see what spell check does to me on my computer sometimes, it tries to outthink me.
I was with media in 7 County. In some of those counties are country, and they were so excited about the news coming from the president about be able to even put a moratorium for those ones that are ready to be closed to stop. And
Yeah,
anyway, so
it's going to be interesting to see how it all comes together, but nonetheless, he is interested in that and will continue to be. One last thing I'll mention, and then I'm almost to the point, and I wasn't going to take this much time, but you're almost at 12:50 now, is that he's a co-lead on a Watershed Protection and Forest Recovery Act, which basically addresses the issue of when you have a disaster or a forest fire or something, that the interest needs to be in getting everything cleaned up so that it protects downstream water supply and personal property. And those things, they're all difficult and all necessary, but nonetheless, this is drawing attention to the fact that they need to have.
Okay.
And I would just say that obviously the senator would be interested, and please feel free to contact me if there are issues that you feel like we can be of assistance with.
Okay.
Don't let us get in your way, but if we can help you, let us.
oh, no, we appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Update.
Thanks
Appreciate
to
it.
all of you.
So
All right. We're 12:50.
we made
Okay,
51.
This
51.
next item is consideration and approval of the Navajo Nation Human Rights Settlement Agreement. I don't know, Lyman, if you wanted to touch on this.
Yeah, I'll just speak briefly.
You may be on mute on your microphone.
Okay, let me take a look. No, I should have some sound.
Yeah.
There we go. I've been participating in phone calls with the ACLU, Navajo Nation's Human Rights Commission, for almost 2 years now, and over time they brought up the recommendation or desire to extend the settlement agreement for additional years, and then we began to use our attorneys, and Jens and Mac and I participated in these calls for seems like well over a year for now, and participated in that and went through a lot of little items that we wanted to make sure. They also had additional items that they wanted included in it, but generally it turned out well, and I think that we're at a point that we'd like to, at least my recommendation, and I believe it's everyone else's, that we sign this agreement and it extends us for 4 more years to the end of 2028. And the clerk's office is prepared to meet all of the requirements in the agreement. Jens, would you like to say anything?
Do you all know what this agreement covers?
My question was, how many times has been renewed?
I think this is number 3?
3, I believe.
So in the commissioners, they're under that contract, been long time ago, and so did you see this continuing and continuing. I mean, because they seem to add more and more requirements as we go. And I thought at one point we were meeting them. I thought, wow, we get into the point we're meeting all of them. But
Well, the county feels that it meets all the requirements of the settlement agreement going back, and it does it really well, actually.
yeah, that's what I
Any
think.
points of concern are always, in my opinion, non-material as far as the end of the day, there are sufficient polling locations, they're open for sufficient hours,
Mhm.
there's sufficient literature and language assistance. This agreement covers a lot of those details, and there are always hiccups because we can't control, for example, how quickly the state of Utah might get materials to us.
Yeah.
And then that puts us behind when we try to go and get translation.
Yeah.
So there are lots of those kind of factors. But I believe the voting percentage for the registered voters in the Navajo Nation is around 87%.
Yeah.
That's good though.
So that's a good number. We've talked about that in our meetings, and of course we want to see 100%. But to answer your question, yes, I think that if today we said, look, this is our last extension, and then we didn't agree to extend further, I don't think we would be deemed to be in breach or anything like that. One thing extending does is it kind of keeps us working together, keeps things out in the open. And I personally think it prevents challenges and claims from parties that might be interested in making those. And because we're under this agreement and we work with the ACLU directly, it kind of helps us avoid some of those things. That's how I view it.
Yeah,
And it doesn't cost us anything.
Yeah.
Well,
The only thing, my view is to
a
make
little bit of legal representation, I guess.
Yeah,
So
my view is to
cost.
make it look like we are not, that we're still
Yeah.
in trouble, kind of thing. Instead of, it'd be nice to say, yeah, we agree, we're gonna keep working on this, but give us the benefit of the doubt that we're not being the bad guys,
Yeah.
Because I think it's amazing how the percentage of people that vote, especially down south, is maybe even bigger than some of the other area. So it's just basically the feeling when they come and check us, they're looking for something bad that we're doing, and then they kind of add more. So I just kind of feel like we doing really good, and I think we should continue to do good. It's just that when the lawyers come, I feel like they're, kind of
Sure.
looking for, trying to catch us in something bad. I don't know. That's my feeling, but
In
so I was
the
curious.
agreement, we did include in the preamble portion a reference to all the progress and the
Oh,
results.
that's good.
So we thought that was important, so
Yeah,
that
I said that. Yeah,
people can see that.
yeah,
Anyway, we, like I say, as a county, Lyman and the people that support him, they have done really well. And I think the results speak for themselves as far as the success in voting and the high rates of voting.
well, like having been a candidate and sometimes wondering about election, I went and helped this year with election. It was the best training I could have had, how effective, how things are done. And so before, you hear people about machines and this and that, but watching our system, I was so impressed how efficiently it's done and how they go the extra mile to give people the opportunity to vote.
Right.
It's just not like, you don't have the kind of work. And so I was very impressed. So I hope I get a chance to do it next year again. Plus, we got good food from Peter, but Peter won't be here. Homemade chili and homemade bread. Anyway, thank you. So then we need to make a motion for this. So
I'll make a motion to approve the settlement agreement.
I'll second the motion to approve.
all in favor, say aye.
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 So next is Commission.
Okay. Last item on the agenda then is your commission reports.
So you need to leave. You wanna go first in the commission report, or I thought you said I thought you said you needed to leave earlier before. So anybody who wants to go with commission report,
Do you want me to lead on that?
you can if you want to.
Let me just pull up my calendar real quick. Just a couple things. I'm on the weed board and have been meeting with them, and they do appreciate the funding for the extra spray that is going into that. We did have a public comment question from the public, and so especially this time of year when things are starting to really, when the weeds are really starting to come up and they can see them, and the frustration that these farmers face. One direction we'd kind of like to head is working with some of the other agencies to hopefully have them help control some of those soil bank places. And I mean, people like to put them into those programs, but they also need some control with those. So there's some future discussions with that. And then we did have just another highlight real quick, and most of us were in that meeting, but the Bluff Cemetery District meeting, and hopefully we can head in a direction that will help that city take care of those problems. And there is some grant funding that is available, and hopefully Ann from the mayor of Bluff, she can look into that and take advantage of that. And I think that will help straighten that problem out, which has been that way for quite a while. So anyhow, those are my two highlights.
Commissioner Harvey.
Good. Thank you, Madam Chair. First thing that I just wanted to hit on was to express my appreciation for Senator Curtis and his support on the secure rural schools in regards to making sure that all the forestry payments are being paid, and reauthorization, I think, was the biggest scare for everyone. I think at the current moment they're trying to do the payouts. The payouts for the previous years aren't at full payment, but they're a little reduced. So anything to get support to try and keep San Juan County's reimbursement higher would be grateful, because I know that the school district utilizes those to supplement the costs that are there, and we need that. It's a huge piece to our education system here, and so I just wanted to mention that. Thank you for the support, and just if we can somehow increase that payments that are being made, that would be great for our county. The second item is just our trip to the Rural Leaders Economic Mobility program out in Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia, was a great opportunity for Mac and myself to go out and talk more about what our county wants to do. And I think one thing we both agreed on, and Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, was that we wanted to do better in involving all of our communities. We all operate in our own separate bubbles, and sometimes jurisdiction becomes the excuse. But if we can learn to sit down together, even the once a month coordination, I think would benefit our county. And at that once a month meeting, we can ask our senator to come, because I know he's been waiting for most of San Juan County to show up for him, especially the natives. And that would be a great forum where we tell everyone the senator's coming, House of Representatives for our area is coming. And I think the effort that the counties had there is they worked together to identify shared priorities, and then they worked with their leaders, their elected leaders, to take those priorities to DC, and every elected leader knew what the county priorities were, and they were always confident. Yes, my constituents work together to create this request, and so they're able to stand there and secure those fundings and the departments that need to be involved in supporting the county. And so that was how the county was able to work together to make things happen. And we haven't had that opportunity yet. So I'd love to continue working, as we had said, let's bring our county together. Let's meet together. Let's have these conversations together. Anyhow, that was our big take from that, as well as securing. I think we're pretty close to finalizing our funding from NACO, and we just need to work out some of the details. Our priority we shared there was we have housing need for low income housing, people that aren't able to afford housing, to bring that to our county. And a lot of our community has low income, and that's the biggest struggle. The next thing I just want to kind of do a reminder on is public safety. I had given them the wrong date. I told them we were meeting next week, and so they were planning to come to do a presentation, just like the Indigenous Commission did. So I'll need to update them and probably invite them back to the May 6th meeting, and hopefully we can align our EMS with them so that we have public safety present with EMS, maybe in a work session to allow public safety to present on their efforts in supporting our county on navigating all of the 911 calls that go to them. And then I think, Friday is our Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. Sounds like Indigenous Commission will come. We have some data that also UAC was able to collect from some of the state court systems. So, and then finally, Aneth in May will be holding a Justice Day. I'll get more details on that so that maybe we can shake the hands of the courts and say, hey, come to us, or can we hold your next meeting here, and you can be with us,
Just offer Navajo tacos.
Right. And then I almost forgot to mention, Utah Navajo Health System invited us, the county, to come and celebrate with them on their anniversary with the Navajo Mountain Clinic next month. So if Senator Curtis wants to make an appearance, Navajo Mountain next month, it's a good time for him to come down and we can sneak him in. So anyway, that's
Can I ask you a question on that? Because
Go
we
ahead.
got that invite. Are there several options on that healthcare thing? Because I put like one in my calendar, but I was seeing there was a few dates we could hit. Is that correct?
It sounds like it is. They're holding it in Blanding because they have a facility in Blanding. And I don't know if they're doing one in Montezuma Creek.
Okay.
But Navajo Mountain, I think, is the centerpiece because they're way out there.
Right.
And I think they're trying to expand that facility. Okay. And what they're trying to do is highlight that PL 638, allowing Native American tribes to assume their own health care program is a success for Utah Navajo. And I think that would be a great opportunity to come out to Navajo Mountain.
I have a conflict because we're doing the celebration for the water. That's when the Navajo Nation Press is coming. That's when.
Same time.
So
Well, I
the
see
lieutenant
that.
governor's coming, and
Can
so
I clarify? Because I show up for the 20. Could you get back to us? I show up for the 23rd for Navajo Mountain, but I show the 25th for the drinking water celebration, the Westwater one. Is
Well, I
that
thought
right
that-
or wrong?
I thought that was the 25th, the one in Oklahoma.
The flyer. I don't have access to the
Okay.
Okay.
flyer.
I
so
can look that
check-
up.
If
check
it
the
doesn't,
flyer.
Okay.
maybe I can make it work then.
That's it.
That's
I'm
it?
done. Sorry, Commissioner.
Seemed like I was busy, one thing and another, but when I went to the legislature, I told people I'll be back in March. It seemed like all of a sudden everybody been waiting for me, but some of the things I have been working with, I feel like our housing situation is a crisis. San Juan County, all the counties need a housing, but we have jobs and we don't have housing, and so I had put together a group with the help of 47G, a group like Inland Port, the college, Settler, San Juan County, and other ones, people from up north that they have experience with having built different projects. Anyway, so we had 2 meetings. We're gonna work on a third one and trying to. It's just a bunch of quick meetings so we can see what's available and who's interested in projects here in the county. And so one of the things that me and Mac will work about trying to see what the county can do as an incentive for people that come and build within San Juan County land, especially near a city. Anyway, we had talked to Sarah about the possibility of trading some land, farmland for other land that they have. So we kind of working on that. Also, I'm working on a visit from some of the cell officers to come and kind of visit with them and see. We're just going to go all the way down south and see, visit and see basically show and tell what we're dealing with. Also, like I mentioned earlier, just today we had the opportunity to answer question about a grant proposal that I have been working with, and I had Talia there to support me, and also Mac, and that was really nice. So I don't know what's going to happen, but if we do get the funds, will help us be able to continue to help small business. And so we are crossing our fingers, our toes, and our eyes, and praying a lot so they'll be able to get that. I like the idea when we talk about working together with other organizations, because sometimes you see a need and you can help. For instance, I was talking about Westwater in one of the meetings with CERTA, and I talk about all the need they have there, and so somebody was kind of whispering, and pretty soon I got somebody, a member of CERTA, called me and said, I heard that you need us, and so that the weatherization program contacted me. They came, we met with some of the leaders, and they introduced a program to us for Westwater, and then we had a meeting on Sunday with Westwater, and they were on Zoom, and we're gonna have an event on Westwater where we're gonna bring some food. Maybe Talia says she'll bring salsa. We'll go and invite. There's about 28 homes, I think. Put an advertisement in the doors they can come and see if they qualify for the program, and we have them sign up, and they are very willing to help. They can replace wood stove. They can they come and basically have equipment they put in the door, and they can measure air. I mean, they can measure all kinds of stuff to see what the heat escapes and things like that. So we're kind of excited about that. Wastewater have been working really hard, trying to make the community better, and our department. I talked to the road department because lots of the tourists go through that road to go whatever is past their community, and there's lots of dust. So TJ went and sprayed the road, and they were so excited about having that, and so we're having the celebration where the governor and also the president of Navajo Nation and a general authority from the LDS Church are coming to the celebration, and so that it's an exciting time for them to, and it's just so nice to see how grateful the people. I mean, I watched them going from having different opinions, but coming together and working together, they were able to have electricity and water. And in the last meeting, we all cried. We cried because of gratitude for them to be able to see the water coming. And so that's a miracle. It's so sad that they have lived so near water and electricity all these years, but it's happening. Anyway, I was talking about working together with other organizations. I was scheduled to the Clark Market. Twice a year they do kind of like a fundraiser for different organizations. So they were helping me with the splash pad. But since things kind of delayed there because of the drought right now, we're looking at other options. I knew my time was coming to be part of the program, so I reached out to the 4-H program, and the 4-H program went, and they are benefiting from the fundraise right now, and so I will go back in the fall if we still have with the splash pad and try to do that. But yeah, there's lots of things going on that I get involved with. Different projects. I've been working with Trent, hearing about a couple of ideas, and anyway, so I'm happy for the moment. There's two things that keep me awake. The stress is sometimes I feel with what's going on in the county, or dreaming. So I don't know. I always get a little sleepy because I either dream about projects or I worry about stuff. So that's all I have. So we have one more motion to make.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.